Yo, welcome back to another episode of On Spot Sports. I'm Jack. Today's episode we're joined by a very special guest, former professional hockey player, hockey goaltender, Bill Ruggiero. Bill played with a bunch of professional teams and professional leagues like the ECHL, the Central Hockey League, got a stint up in the American Hockey League, played in the UHL with the Motor City Mechanics, spent time in the International Hockey League with the Flint Generals as well, spent time in Finland in Sumi Sarja, and now he's playing with the Michigan Shadow in the Michigan Independence Hockey League. And he spent time in junior hockey and major juniors in the QMJHL and the Ontario Hockey League, as well as a stint in the North American Hockey League as well. He was a goaltending coach for the Motor City Rockers in the 22-23 season as well. And he's also been the e-bug for the Florida Panthers for that contest that they did a few years back, the once in a lifetime. So I'm really excited to dive into everything with you, Bill. So welcome to the show, Bill Ruggiero.
Hey Jack, thanks for having me, man. It's
Yeah,
I've known you for a while, and we kept in touch, which is great. I love it.
yeah, it's been a good last couple of years. Like we've stayed in touch since the Motor City camp from the free agent camp, and like it's good to see you getting back into the swing of things with playing with the Shadow and just everything that you're doing. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. It's great to be here. First time I met you, we were actually on the ice. I met you in your gear, which is cool.
Yeah, it is. That was yeah. Like let's jump into that because like you were the goaltending coach for the Motor City Rockers in their first year of them being a team in the Fed. So like what was that goaltending coach experience like, and just being with a new team in Motor City?
Yeah, so I live in St. Clair Shores, which is about 10, 15 minutes from Fraser. I have a long history with Fraser. I moved to Michigan from California at 15 to play at Fraser for AAA for the Falcons. I played for the Motor City Mechanics back in the day out of Fraser. So it's a special place in my heart is that rink. And when the team was forming, it was before COVID, and I was somewhat involved with the team. To be honest, I was behind the scenes and helping to get things going. And I played pro hockey for so many years, and I love that part of the game. I love, once you're in the game for so long, you get to know the ins and outs and stuff behind the scenes and how to get things going. And I ran another business after I played that was similar. So I was very intrigued and very have a love for hockey. And so when the mechanics really started to form, um, goalie coach was an easy fit, but I was doing stuff behind the scenes as well. Try to get a lot of stuff, getting sponsors, and helping facilitate the guys. It was kind of a last minute team. Like the initial owners, because of COVID, kind of backed out, and then a new group came in, and we rushed it, and we got it done. And the guys were great. I mean, everybody knew that it was a last minute thing, but we made the team work, and very competitive team. Made the playoffs and had a great record. Working with the goalies. I've coached goalies for many years at many levels. That was my first sort of coaching with a pro team. And the goalies, at that level, they're being professional already. They're coming to the rink. They want to get better. You're dealing with men other than dealing with children, and you got to have a little bit of a different approach to it. But I love working with guys. The excitement of the game. It's in my community too. So having involvement with a community team that close to my house was sort of a dream come true.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like you said, like it was successful the first year, and like it was. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're coming back next year, but they took an off year this season. But like they've been in the playoffs, they've created strong programs, strong teams since that first year, since right from the start. It's like what was it like working with like guys like Trevor Babin? Like pretty sure you had like Rico as well over there as well.
Yeah, Rico came around sort of at the tail end of my involvement. I have my daughter was pretty young at the time. She's still young. She's just turned 6, so I didn't have as much time during the day to get to the practices. But to this day, I've even learned from Trevor Babin the way his approach to the game, his the way he takes care of his body. His flexibility, his sort of mental approach, how well he competes. I really enjoy. I hope he has a great career. He kind of had a humble background. His playing career, he didn't take the traditional route. He played juniors in Canada. He didn't have any major teams that he played for that, kind of pushed him to the next level. He always kind of pushed himself. And I think his reputation and how much he competes is his strong point. He's a fan favorite. He likes to play it up in front, and I was kind of similar back in my day. I got some YouTube clips when YouTube first started taking off. I had a lot of clips following me around to my different teams and me fighting, and I'd like to say the same. You gotta protect your team. I was one of the bigger guys on my team, so sometimes I fit into that role of I guess protecting my team. Um, Blake Scott, he was on the team. I actually backed up in Port Huron. I somewhat came out of retirement. Um, what was it? I think it was before COVID, and I backed up Blake Scott, and he was on that fantastic run. He went like 10-0 with Port Huron, um, and then COVID hit, and it kind of squashed his playing time up in Port Huron. He came back a little bit after that, but he was on such fire. But yeah, when he came to Motor City, he played well. I mean, he had a great record. He stole some big games for Motor City. Travis Ridgen was there and well. He got a few games. I spent a lot of time with him. He was he was you probably know him from all the podcasts, and he's pretty internet famous, and we still keep in touch. I give him a lot of credit for staying in the game. I don't think he's playing right now, but he loves hockey, and if again, not a traditional way to stay in the game, but he's found a way to keep himself playing and keep himself doing what he loves. And at the end of the day, if you love hockey and you want to stay involved in it, no one can really keep you from that. So
Yeah, and you could learn stuff from all the guys like that, and just it's no one traditional path. Like you don't have to play at this level to make it up. Like if you keep pushing yourself and really want it, like people are gonna find a way.
yeah, and that's even with kids. I mean, you got kids that play AAA, and nothing against that, but or you can have a kid that goes to high school and really takes off and ends up playing in front of 1,000 people sometimes in a game, and learns how to play under that sort of pressure. So it goes both ways. You got a kid that can play single A and then gets his way into juniors, then walks on to a Division I team. I've had friends and players that have done that. It's all about your resilience. It's all about your attitude. You can have all the talent in the world and every cliche you want to use about that, but it's the truth. I mean, coming from a coach's standpoint too, you want a player that has the right attitude. You want a player that has the right sort of zest for the game, who's a good teammate, who's going to be a good example, who's going to come to rink every day, wanting to get better, wanting to make his teammates better, caring about the team, caring about his community.
Yeah, that's huge, and that's everything you want in a player is you obviously want them to know the game and be able to perform, but like the community aspect too, because like it goes bigger and better when you're with the community and you're going out there and you're spending time with the community. Like it's only going to bring a positive impact to you and the organization as well.
I mean, our fans are the community. You got to remember that. I mean, it's and as well, you'd be surprised how many connections you make through the fans and through youth hockey and through people around the rink. I mean, all my years playing, I always coached. Any team I played for, even played in Europe, I'd go coach. It kept me busy. It helped me hone my skill. I always found to become a better goaltender when I coached.
Yeah.
I coach now, and I tell the goalies, work with kids, work with younger goalies. It'll make you a better goaltender. It'll make you a better athlete because you have to reiterate good ideas. You have to verbally speak the process. You have to think about where these ideas are coming from. And you have to think about your habits and the way that your approach to the game is as well. And I've seen the spark in some players' eyes where initially they're like, oh, I'm not a coach, or I'm not saying you have to be a coach for life, but by you giving back or you giving that extra that extra ability to a younger player, which I'm sure you got at one point
Yeah.
from a coach throughout your life, or you might not even known it. You might, I mean, remember that coach. I'm sure you remember some of them, but sometimes you're going to learn stuff from coaches that, they're going to give you a little insight. You'll never forget. They're going to give you some inspiration. Never forget. They're going to maybe give you some criticism that, you need to work on, and that's, it goes on both sides. So I always recommend that to players when they go to towns, give back, try to coach with the local teams, even if you have to volunteer. Yes, you can make some money at it. That's great. But also you make connections throughout the community. If you got to stay in the summertime, say you got a girlfriend, you want to have work, you'd be surprised how many people in the community could help you out. And, hockey's a great family. Hockey is a great community, and it's a small world. So, you gotta just radiate good positivity when you go play in every town you play in. So.
Yeah, for sure. And like it's all like you said, like you hone your craft even more when you do coach. Like you see the game a whole different way when because you're in the crease one night and then you're out of the crease shooting on goalies and coaching them the next night, and you have to like you said, you have to like really portray like positive, like good habits and stuff like that. So you're not only telling them, but like you're reinforcing that with you as well. And then like you have cat eye goaltending as well. So like you're developing like the younger kids like through that I've seen throughout like your Instagram and everything like that. Like how's that development and just the differences between like being with a team and then just doing it just with like a bunch of different goalies at like clinics and camps.
Yeah, Cate goaltending. That started, I'm sure, in 2018, and it's been going great. Metro Detroit. We're mostly East Side. We do Port Huron, St. Clair Shores, Fraser, Mount Clemens, Troy, Hazel Park. Michigan, Metro Detroit there's a good amount of goalie coaches around here. It's a saturated market. We have a lot of great goaltenders that come out of here. I love it. Like I said before, I've always seemed to coach. I start coaching at 15. Um, in summer, like in summer times, I worked with Hockey Caddy in Toronto. I worked with Rick Hines. I don't know if anyone remembers him. He's one of the original like traveling goalie schools. Bandits goaltending school out of Michigan. You might have known them. They're still doing great. Stan and Joe, some of my best friends. I was one of the original Bandits. We still keep in touch. I help them out when I can as well. And it's a great thing. I have this. You develop this talent your whole life. What do you do? It's hard to just to give it away and say, hey, I'm done with that talent. I mean, if I do it the rest of my life, maybe if I continue doing it to some degree, the rest, sure. If I pass along to someone else, fine. But it's hard for me to just give away this talent or no, stop doing this talent that I've worked on for so many years, and I love it. I keep seeing the game.
Yeah.
Um, I'm playing with the shadow, and I don't think I could play if I wasn't coaching because I'm on the ice sometimes 5-6 hours a day on my skates and demonstrating and working on my edges and my legs are still strong and I still play too, like and like for fun and put the gear on. I skate sometimes with a junior team or a high school team, but I don't think I'd be able to compete if I wasn't on the ice as much as I am. And again, always goaltending's running through my mind all the time. I'm still like every day the goaltending is coming through my mind, and I'm speaking it and I'm living it. So I'm still inspired by by NHL goaltenders and high end goaltenders. I still watch them. Um, some of my theories as a goalie coach is like I think some goalies can be overcoached at a young age. I think like there's so much technical skill now that's been involved in the game, which is fantastic. But I think with some young goalies, it might be over pushed some of the techniques that are sort of designed for goalies, grown men, or, grown adults. So I really hammer away on being a complete goaltender and having a versatile toolbox. And, for 5 different situations, you have 5 different ways that you can potentially make that save. And, being a really good athlete. At the end of most of my clinics at camps, the kids are gassed. They got red faces, their hair is soaked. And, even if they're, I might even do more skating than I do shooting sometimes, just because if they have better edges, they have better mobility. I feel like they're just going to have a better result in the long run. So The school actually is sort of my clinics is the bread and butter, and it all started. I didn't even have pucks. I just did just skating and mobility. So we still do shots at our clinics and camps, but half, if not more, of it is agility, movement, crease, and just becoming better on your edges, becoming better recovery, being balanced, making sure at a young age you can get up on both legs. It blows my mind how many kids at even 10 years old still favor one leg to get up on. Like you have to have both legs that work correctly.
Yeah.
And how many kids like don't use their stick to make a save? And it's like, well, yeah, I get it. You got beautiful big butterfly and your pads are great, but you still have to make a save with your stick sometimes. So it's if the basics aren't there, if those things aren't hammered away, it's hard to move on to the more advanced stuff, at a young age. So,
Yeah, that's good to have build that complete goaltender. And like I remember at the free agent camp with the Rockers, like goalies did a lot of skating and like it's the most skating I've done at free agent camps. But like it like I still like do some I still like do like the T push, the turn with the bat with their back skate, like then butterfly slide, like stuff like that, like just to reinforce like the balance, good habits, and just like it's never too bad to work on the edges whenever you can.
no, it just, and, there's always free time. What I love now is the trend of having three goalies, too. Like, if a team
Yeah.
has three goalies to practice, it keeps you sharper. You don't have as much, you can rest. Because in a game, yes, you play, so say a 3 hour game, 3.5 hour game if you're playing at a high level. But you still get breaks.
Yeah.
I like in practice, if there's three goalies at practice, the goalie is not in the net. Yes, take your break, but still do your little bit of movement off to the side. Still work, have that little extra time, that little extra downtime, even if you're not going crazy just in a crease sized area, still do some movement, still work on your edges, still visualize yourself doing, correct pushes and correct recovery and, making saves, mocking making saves with your eyes. And you'd be surprised how just those little things you do every practice build up and make you a better goalie in the long run.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's always good to build that athleticism, build yourself as a goalie and just take the extra time because everyone has more time than we all think and take that extra time to do something that's going to be meaningful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to jump into like your like career besides coaching obviously like you're playing with the Shadow right now like how's that going?
Yeah, that to be honest, that's been a dream come true is to have that level of hockey close to my house. I stopped playing at like 30, and when I stopped playing, I was playing great. I thought my career was going well. I was playing over in Europe. I was the team MVP. We went all the way to the finals. We lost in like the final game. I was actually slated to go play in the KHL, and my previous team I think they got wind of that, and they found another goalie. And then that team, the KHL team, had a guy from the NHL come down, and and once you're in Europe and you don't have the proper visas and that, that was sort of why, and I was moving around a lot. A lot of teams I played for, the leagues would fold or something would happen. I had
Yeah.
like a 4 year stint where like the IHL, the UHL folded and the IHL popped up, and then like the Central League moved to the East Coast League. So it was like a lot of stuff going on at once. And, with the NHL affiliations, but to have like a sort of a senior A, semi-pro team close to my house at this level has always been a dream come true. So when I found out that it happened, a lot of the guys were from the Rockers, and a lot of the guys that I knew already, it was kind of a no-brainer. To be honest, I was hoping to get a couple games in. I have my daughter's 6. I just wanted her to see me play. That was really one of the main reasons, like to let my daughter see me play.
Yeah.
Something that I've done my whole life. That the fact that that is was great. So she got to be at the home opener. I mean, she comes all the games, but the home opener, we beat Muskegon. I played that game. Muskegon was the defending champions. We had, gosh, I think we had almost 2,000 people in the stands. It was had a great turnout. We had a great, smoke and lights and music, and it was great. It was, from not being able to do it for so many years, all of a sudden jumping back into that world was a true dream come true, and being so close to home, and great bunch of guys. There's so many guys that have played at high levels. There's so many guys that have so much experience, and they probably feel the same way. They feel so fortunate that there's a team that's local that they can still compete at. and still have the Friday, Saturday night game. And, as much as beer league is, well, and if they're playing there one day, playing 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night through a snowstorm, and I'm in a rink 5, 6 hours a day already, it isn't as appealing as playing in the Friday night 7 o'clock game at Fraser Arena, potentially 3,500 people. So,
Yeah.
Not that that's what it's all about, but at the end of the day, it's a great feeling, and not many people get to do that. So, we have we got about 2 months left of the season here. The team's doing well. I had a bit of an injury. I guess I'm not as young as I thought I was, but I pulled my groin a couple games in, and back in my day, I had a superpower. I don't know what it was. If I played hurt, I always played better. It was the weirdest thing. So like I used to be able to not walk into a rink. My groin hurt so bad, and not that I ever got hurt that much. I was always pretty lucky. I always took care of myself, but I played hurt one game, and I probably shouldn't have. And it took me longer to recover than normal. And but saying that, I'm better now, and it's still nice to get out there and get, even with the community too. I've had so many of my students come out to the games,
Yeah.
so many of their families come out to the games. I'm like, it's not traditional that you go from coach to player. You usually go from player to coach. So I got kids that I've worked with since they were little kids, and now they're, I still have little kids that come to the game, but like kids I worked with for the last 7, 8 years that are coming to the games now, like get to see me in my gear. So I think that's a special thing. I'm glad to be involved in that, and like I said, it's a dream come true. So I'm really happy to be involved.
Yeah, that's awesome to have that, and just especially so close to home, you could just drive 20 minutes, like you said, and
Yeah.
you're at the rink playing a competitive senior game, and something that like matters too, instead of just men's league where it's just like you go out and just play.
Yeah.
But yeah,
After I stopped playing, I moved to the Caribbean. I was in St.
there you
Croix
go.
for 8 years, and I had a business down there, and I literally worked and lived on a beach. And my business was stand up paddleboarding. It was a surf shop. At the end of the day, it was a bar and a restaurant all in one. So it was a great business. A couple hurricanes took it out. I didn't own the building, so that's sort of one of the reasons I came back to Michigan. But after all those years, and down there, I'm so far from hockey rinks. Like, it was so funny because down there, like, my friends knew I played hockey. Some people did, but most people just knew me as the business owner and the guy that was on the beach every day and working. I mean, I was on a beach, but I was working. I was surfing a lot, and I was, free diving and snorkeling and doing a lot of cool stuff. But, hockey was kind of the farthest thing from me. I had rollerblades down there. So I skate around sometimes, and I had a buddy come down I used to play with, and he brought a bunch of hockey sticks, and we'd pass around in the street sometimes to get our fix. But for being so far removed from the game, literally geographically, like
Yeah.
there was a rink in Puerto Rico that was under. They had like a big stadium, and it was like under the floor. I think the Panthers played some exhibition games there, and then they had a little skating rink in Puerto Rico. There was a cruise ship that would show up sometimes with a little skating rink on it, and they would do figure skating. But I was so far from any hockey rink down there, and so to come back to Michigan and to be able to play again and get into that scene, it's great. So I'm just fortunate to be able to be part of the team.
Yeah, that's good to get back into the swing of things with playing, and like when you were living in the Caribbean, like you had you co-won the goal of a lifetime Florida Panthers emergency backup goalie contest, like with our guy Bonesy.
Oh
Bonesy's been on
yeah,
the show before,
oh
so
yeah, I love
yeah,
that.
so he was the other winner. So like, what
Yeah.
was that goal of a lifetime contest like, and just being an e-bug for the Florida Panthers?
Yeah, so I every full moon, we would host a stand-up paddleboard party. So we would go out on the water and glow sticks, and then we'd come back in and have fire dancers and a big fireball and a barbecue. And it was a great time. So there was one particular full moon, and it was like I got home at probably 2, 3 in the morning, and I had a bunch of my friends messaging me, "Hey, you got to do this." What do you mean? Like, you got to do this contest. So I signed up that night, and without hesitation, without ever getting actually accepted to the team, I was confident that I was going to they were going to accept my thing. But at the time, you had to be a resident of Florida. That was the contest. So what I did is I first went to Michigan and I skated a little bit. I got some new skates. I think I got gloves and a chest pad. I needed some new gear. Everything else was fine. And then while I was in Michigan, um, I got the email that I got accepted to do it. I went to Florida. I had a bunch of friends in Florida because I was in the surfing scene, and a lot of my friends were up there. And I signed a lease at my friend's house. I opened a bank account, which I still have. Because I had a lease, I got a Florida license. So when the contest happened, I was actually a resident of Florida, 100%. It was 100% legal, and it's fine. Like, to this day, I still have the bank account. I had my license in Florida for a long time. It was my friend's house. I signed a lease there, but apparently they opened it up the day of or a couple of days before to everyone. So it became this big national attention. I think so many people wanted to be involved in it, and it was great. I mean, if you look it up online, there's a bunch of videos of the contest before and after and during. It was great. I mean, again, going from literally being on a beach to the scene with an NHL team to some degree, it was like it was pretty special. I went to Predators camp. I was a free agent invite in 2001 to Nashville, and one of the coaches out there was Thomas Falcum, who was my goalie partner when I was in Nashville camp. And we played our exhibition games, there were 6 goalies at camp, and him and I teamed up on the same team. I actually led in less goals than him in all of our sort of our exhibition games, and he was a great guy. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if he remembered me. I think he did. I told him, I said, hey man, I was at camp with you in 2001. So, but it was great. I mean, there was goalies from all different levels there. There was goalies that were. I'm sure every single person that came to that event is going to remember that for the rest of their life as being such a special thing. And I didn't expect to win. I just think, what, the fact that I could do this, the fact that I can go and sort of try out for this thing, and to me, that I was happy with that. And when they called my name, I was ecstatic. I mean, I was humble about it, but it was a great feeling. And Dustin and I, Bonesy, we still keep in touch. I'm so proud of him. I mean, the way he's taken what I think that was sort of his catalyst into what he's doing
Yeah.
now. I actually had a couple offers to go play after that, and I was almost 10 years ago now. I think I was 30, 35 at the time, and there were some Europe teams, and but I had a business down there, and it was thriving, and I was so busy every day, and I had a hard time just walking away from what I was doing down there at the time. So, but yeah, I mean, I love what he's done with it. I'm so proud that he's kind of taken what he has, and he's dressed 2 games now in the NHL,
Yeah.
and that's great. I got to sit in the stands for the rest of the season. I actually was I was in the stands for the last probably third of the season, and that was a great experience. The Red Wings actually asked me to be their full-time emergency goaltender. I was aware that the new rule was going to happen where you needed to have a full-time guy at every game. I actually, I don't know if anyone knows, my sister is Angela Ruggiero, but she got inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2015. I actually got to sit next to Gary Bettman during her induction ceremony, and I mentioned it to him, and I'm like, "Is this really happening? Are they really going to want to have a goalie at every?" And he said, "Yeah, that's going to happen." So the Red Wings actually asked me to be their guy. The rules, I guess, stated, we found out later that I was overqualified. Like, if you have a veteran status, you aren't really on the top of the list because most teams sort of max out their salary cap each
Yeah.
game. And if you're a veteran, they have to pay you at least a penny. Not that I would want to get paid. I mean, obviously that'd be cool, but they need so amateur goaltenders are at the top of the list for that position, which is great. I mean, the fact that some goalies now can do this and probably even travel with the team. And, if you ask me, if I would have came out of, juniors or, college, would you want to go travel with an NHL team for 2, 3 years? Yeah, sure. Like, then go play in Europe or then go play pro somewhere. So I think it's a great position. I'm glad it's a full-time thing now.
Yeah, like it's awesome to have like those different experiences from the Panthers EBUG contest to the Red Wings wanting you to be their full-time EBUG to just like being a free agent invite to the Preds camp as well. Like Like how special were those, and just like what do you learn from all those different experiences when you played pro for a long time as well? It's like you played throughout different leagues, like you said, the Central Hockey League, the East Coast League, the International Hockey, the United Hockey League. Like what do you learn from all these different experiences?
I mean, like kind of like I was saying before, if you love hockey, if you want to stay in the game, if it's a special part in your heart, um, it's hard just to walk away. It's
Yeah.
hard to say it's done. I feel bad for kids that just stop playing and they never see their gear again. Um, you know, I love the fact that people are people. You go to these towns, you go to these different teams. Even at the NHL level, some of the most humble players or men you've ever met are some of the most successful guys. And they're gonna introduce themselves to the first and last name. They could be an all-star player for 10 years and they're still going to introduce themselves, with the first and last name. It's hockey's such a like I said, such a great community, and if I can do the same back, like everything has to resonate back through you. There's every statistic about kids that can't, they'll never make it or barely get to touch it, and then I feel so fortunate I got to go where I got. I feel so fortunate I got to travel around. I lived in Canada for pretty much 8 years. I got to play in Europe. I played all over the States. I got to see a lot of the world. I got to see a lot of different cultures. I got to see, the way that, other people live. And, personally, I get to, you get to adapt to different people. You get to meet great people. It's good and bad because some of my best friends and some of the people that I know, I live so far away. So it's, luckily now with the internet, you can keep in touch more. But, I kind of wish that more of it was, I guess, documented back in the day. I mean, nowadays there's so much online that all your games are they're living out there in the cloud. But I kind of wish more of my games from back in the day were floating around. So I can hang on to them. Like I have some VHS from back in the junior days, and the YouTube came around sort of. And then even like PlayStation, I just missed being on PlayStation for a half a second, and but hockey's always going to be a part of my life. I started playing in California as a kid. It was always a special thing back then. There weren't as many kids playing. I think it was the only kid really ever in my high school, any of my schools besides my sister that ever played hockey. So hockey was always just this special thing, and it altered my life. I moved to Michigan for it, and you know, just getting to see the world. That's probably the best part.
Yeah, it's awesome just to have those experiences, and like you said, go to different cultures, go to different states. Like half the states I've been to and throughout my life, I probably wouldn't have been to if it wasn't for hockey, and it's just a whole different experience. And you're living on your own. You got to find out how to do stuff on by yourself without your parents or your closest or your best friends there, and meet new people. Like it's an awesome experience to have, and just to play a game for a career as well.
Yeah, it's I don't know if you know who Gabby Reese is. She was the volleyball star from back in the day. She's married to Laird Hamilton, and she's got a great quote. She says, "If you're a dragon slayer and there's no more dragons, what do you do?" Like, like at one point, like you're gonna get upset. You're gonna get like grouchy or something. Like, so this is the way to keep being, say a dragon slayer. This unique thing or something that's out there that only so many people can do. And yeah, just now my daughter's 6, and she's getting into sports and she's starting to skate. And I actually got her in goalie skates recently. Not that she's got to be a goalie, but I found they're more stable. Like they have they're a little flatter. It keeps her she can get up when she gets down easier, and it feels like she can. And her friend had a pair of goalie skates on, and she was like, "What are those?" And I'm like, "Wow, they're goalie skates." So I think that was kind of a special thing. And but yeah, it's hockey's, like I said before, hockey's a great community. It's always been a big part of our family. My sister played. We played together growing up. She's actually commentating right now, I think as we speak, for the Canada US game at the Olympics. So she's with NBC. She's with Peacock right now. She's in the studio in Connecticut, and then she goes to Milan next week actually. So she'll be there for the Olympics, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's sick. And just to have like your sister, and because she's played hockey, she's in the Hall of Fame, she's won gold medals. Like what was it like growing up with her? Like I know you played a game in Tulsa with her as well. So like what was like growing up with your sister playing and then obviously how successful she's been with hockey.
Yeah, the one thing I can say about my sister, she was always humble. Like, she was a fierce competitor. She loved playing. She played boys hockey. We played together all except 1 year growing up, and we actually played against each other. I played for a Squirt or Haddam AAA team, and she played for like a Pee Wee team, and we played against each other, and I think we always won. Uh, but yeah, I don't think she knew how good she was. She went to like a all girls tournament in Connecticut as a 14-year-old, and she just dominated. Like she
Yeah.
did so well. She was always the captain of our team. She was that good. We had some great players in our team growing up too. We had Garrett Stafford. He played in the NHL. Played for UNH. He ended up playing a few games for the Red Wings and a couple other NHL teams. We were actually teammates in Cleveland when I got called up to the Barons. But it's she just loved playing, and she loved competing. Kind of a perfect storm for her at the time. She had really good grades at school, so she got to go to Choate Rosemary Hall, which was a prep school out of Connecticut, and she got to play for the Connecticut Polar Bears, which is like a private club at the same time. I want to say she won a national championship with the Polar Bears, and then I think her team won everything that year, and then she made the national team at 15 years old. So she
Wow.
went from playing boys hockey in California at 14 to being on the national women's team at 15. So it was such a whirlwind for her and our family and everybody because again, hockey community in California was so small at the time. It was starting to explode because of Gretzky's presence, but when she came onto the scene in the East Coast, she got so much attention because she played kind of physical. And it's funny, we were actually just talking this morning. She liked to rush the puck. That was her thing. She'd get the puck and just go through everyone and go to the net. And they almost shied against it back then. They almost didn't like it as much because it kind of went against the norms and it kind of messed up everyone's. It wasn't what the coaches liked. But now,
Yeah.
if you watch what they're doing, the best players are the defensemen who rush the play. If you even watch the women's game, that's uh, the best players, the top scorers, the defensemen right now, because they're the ones that kind of throw a wrench in the whole system. You can't really predict that as much, so it's hard to plan for that. And the defensemen are just going up the middle, or just going from speed to the net. And the Kel McCarr, that's it's hey, if that's the trend, that's the trend. So she was ahead of it, and but she's super proud. I love, and she's doing her commentating. I'm not just saying because she's my sister. I think she does very well in her commentating. She's very knowledgeable. She does her homework. Obviously, she played at a high level. I think some of her records are being broken this year by Hillary Knight. Angela had the most games in a USA Hockey jersey than any male or female. And I think Hillary Knight's beating that this Olympics. Yeah, she's still the youngest gold medalist ever in women's hockey. Although I think there was a girl from Switzerland who was 15 playing in the Olympics, but she's the youngest one to win a gold medal. But she loves it. Same as her. Like she's done work outside of hockey, but at the end of the day, it's hard to just walk away and not have that part of your blood. It becomes part of your DNA. It just becomes who you are. And I could probably skate when I'm 90. I could probably still skate better than I can run or walk. So sometimes be like a fish out of water. You just staying in the game and staying doing what you love, and at least letting it be. And she's like, again, she's so humble about what she does. She was always like that. She loved to compete, but she would go to the rink every day. A fierce competitor. She was always a really good teammate. She always, just gave that little extra effort. And she kind of paved the path, I think, for a lot of girls now. Back in the day, they didn't make, the girls weren't making money like they do now. Some of these Olympians are going to make a decent amount of money this year.
Yeah.
It's great, same as some of the NCAA stuff. I mean, we kind of struggled, when you're younger coming up, it's a big commitment, with the national team. They were making some money, but not like they're making now. I mean, they were when she won her gold medal, I think, I want to say, don't quote me, I think it was like 20,000, and then they got taxed. So it wasn't even like a lot of money, because you got to put your life on hold for
Yeah.
all that time. I mean, you're training with the national team and, you're doing all that work, and the endorsements weren't there. The first year they won the gold medal, the team got on the Wheaties box. She was still in high school. She couldn't
Wow.
get on the Wheaties box. It was kind of heartbreaking because she was like, wait a minute, I'm part of this team and I can't be on the Wheaties box. That's like the
Yeah.
most quintessential, like we did it. You did it as an athlete. You made the Wheaties box. So, it's kind of good to see things evolving now and people being appreciated more for their time and effort. So.
Yeah, it's gone a long way since it was, and it's good to see how it's come up from just even a few years, 5, 10 years ago, and just to see how like inspiring they all are to everyone, to all the other female younger players, like just to create that path for the and with the PWHL too, like it definitely helps with growing the game and moving people up as well.
Yeah, I work with a lot of young ladies, and a lot of them are they don't know that there's so much opportunity out there
Yeah.
right now. I mean, for girls hockey, it's crazy. I mean, so many schools have great programs, and there's a lot of money that is allocated towards their programs. And we're in Michigan. We have some teams. Ohio's got a nice club. State and Michigan, they have the club teams now, but I think they're working towards getting the big teams, which I think would be great because there's so much hockey around here.
Yeah.
And Minnesota, East Coast, that's sort of in Wisconsin. That sort of has the stronghold right now on the Division 1 scene, and it'd be nice to see Michigan jump on board with that. And just because there's opportunities, and you could, if you got good grades and you play well and you focus, there's a good chance you can make it pretty far as a girl hockey player right now. So.
Yeah, and definitely just continue to grow and get opportunities and create opportunities, and like that's what you did when you played in the ECHL and this Central Hockey League and the IHL, the UHL, and like you got an American League call up to the Cleveland Barons as well. So like what was that stint in the American League like, and just getting that call up from the Mechanics?
Yeah, I was playing for the Mechanics. It was a great honor to be called up to Cleveland. Um, I always sort of teetered at that level, and it seemed like I kind of found my niche, and like in the Central League, I'm playing with Tulsa. They're in the East Coast League now, but I love playing in Tulsa. I mean, that was one of my favorite places to play. So my best friends are from Tulsa, people that I've known, for so many years. Um, the American League, we would play we played in Grand Rapids, which was great, to play in that big arena. Jimmy Howard was the goalie. And then I got to play. It was so funny. I got, like I said before, Garrett Stafford, he was on the team with me. Steve Bernier, he was my teammate when I played in Moncton. So it was kind of great to be that was San Jose's farm team at the time. And it was great just to, kind of be in that presence, and just to see the little different in the East Coast League is it's professional, but you just go up to that next level. I spent some time with Nashville, and it's just like in Bull Durham. You don't touch your bag, and you're in a private jet, and it's so all those cliches are true. So, but even the American League, it's just that next level. You can tell, these guys are on a contract, most of them, and you could tell it's just that next level of just professionality, I guess. And so it was great. It was a great experience.
Yeah, sure. What do you learn like the small details like of that like aspect? Like what do you learn from being called up from the ECHL to the American League?
I say just be ready. Like it's you'd be surprised. I had a few moments like that throughout my career where I thought I was just playing with the team and I was going to be there all year, and all of a sudden I'm someone called me, and it's happened a few times. All of a sudden I'm on a team that I didn't expect to be on,
Yeah.
and I'd just being prepared. I mean, imagine you're not prepared, and a team calls you and you don't feel your best, or you're not where you want to be, and so it's great. I even see guys now that get called up from the Fed, or them playing in the Fed is a big deal, and all of a sudden they're up at a higher level, and sometimes just run with it. Look
Yeah.
at the whole Darling scenario. Scott Darling. I mean, like, just go with it, and be the best teammate you could be. Be the best. Do all the cliche stuff. Pick up pucks. Be there. get there early, do what you got to do. Don't play the role. Be a good hockey guy, and you'll probably go far.
Yeah, and like it's crazy to see like all like just even the Fed like there's a lot more guys that go from the Fed right to the coast now compared to like the Fed to the SB and then the coast. Like you're one call away from going up a level or two, so you just got to stay ready, like you said.
The leagues they've all it's been it evolves every year. It seems like
Yeah,
back in the day there was a lot more pro teams. It seems like a lot of those pro teams now have turned into junior programs, which it kind of makes sense. I mean, it's like Shreveport used to be in the Central League, and now they're junior program, and they probably get the same amount of fans. They probably get the same doors, same tickets. So, there's a lot of players. And there's not as many jobs as it used to be. It seems like. So I think if you can, if you're getting that attention, if you're getting to that next level, if you're competing at this level, just do what you can and put yourself out there too. I can't tell you how important it is sometimes to even just make those relationships. Like, just shaking that coach's hand in the summer, or if you're at a rink and someone's there, introduce yourself. I remember just the connections that you make. You came up to me and it was like, I remember you talking to me. And all of a sudden we kept in touch, and it's important. It's just like, it's a business too. You got to
yeah,
remember, you make a good impression. You present yourself in the right way. You give yourself the opportunity to be remembered. That's important. So, and you're dealing with humans. You're dealing with people just like you. You'd be surprised. It's not. Obviously they have to work the way to get to a higher level and be in those positions. But they were in your position at one point as well. I'm sure. They were. Be surprised some of these coaches that, you know, uh, you don't think would ever be in that position as a coach. They were just a player. They worked themselves up from maybe Division III college, or being a tier 2 player, or it's just hockey. It's just where you put yourself in that position. So
yeah, and just creating those opportunities and connecting with people and like it now it's like the more people you know, the better chance you have for to get an opportunity and just by connecting, like you said, like shaking the coach's hand, like whatever it is to help you seem like you're a good guy and a guy that someone wants in the room.
yeah, it's like I said, it's a game of people. It's a
Yeah.
game of humans that have emotions and have feelings just the same as you. And if you don't harness that, if you yeah, you might think that coach up there he's got all the power in the world. Yeah, he might a little bit, but he wants to be respected just the same you do too. So just keep yourself in that level, and it helps. So
Yeah, for sure. And I love that the responses and like the opportunities and everything like that. And I want to take this like last segment of this episode for like your junior hockey career. Like you were drafted to the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League. You played for London, Plymouth, where you made the finals quite a few times. And then you won the Dave Pinckey Award, lowest goals against average in the OHL. And then you made your jump to the QMJHL with Moncton, where you won the Hershey Cup, team MVP, team defensive player of the year, best import goalie, and Crawford, what a legend in Chicago and the NHL, was your backup, was your backup in Moncton. So what was your junior hockey career like, and just all the different experiences and just being able to play at such a high level of major juniors?
yeah, so I moved to Michigan at 15. Like I said, I played 1 year at AAA. I played midget major as a midget minor. Actually, the first job I ever lost as a goaltender was to Ryan Miller. Yeah, as a 15-year-old in California, at the time you kind of had to move away to
Yeah.
be to make it, or to get exposure. Now you can kind of stick around in California and probably make it to the Western League or something.
Yeah.
But at the time you had to kind of get yourself out there. So I tried out in the Sioux for the Sioux Indian midget major team, and I had a great camp. I mean, I say this, I did better than any goalie there. I led the least goals of any goalie, but Ryan Miller, who was a year older than me, he was on the team. Then they had a local guy who was I want to say 19 years old, maybe, who was on the team for the last few years. So I get it. I was heartbroken, but I never lost a job in my life. In California, every team I played for, every team I made, I always did well. So anyhow, I came to Michigan, played AAA, and I had a little rough start off the start, but then by Christmas time, I played in the St. Mike's tournament in Toronto, and I did really well there. I ended up getting the team, or excuse me, the tournament MVP. And I don't even think I was 16 yet. I was still 15 playing midget major. And then all of a sudden, the OHL came calling. The OHL, an agent showed up to my hotel room, and like I got put on Central Scout or the scouting list, and I got invited to their prospects game, and as a 15-year-old, so it was great. I didn't get drafted that year because you can only have four. I think it was four underage goalies at the time they can get drafted, and I was ranked like number 4 or 5, and Alex Ald got picked that year. Who else? But anyhow, I ended up getting drafted the next year. I went and played Junior C and Junior B in Canada. So kind of saying like that, like I didn't, I mean, it was Junior B. It was, at the time, Junior B it's tier two. So then I got drafted to London. My first year, I backed up an all-star, Gene Chirillo, great goalie. But he played the majority of the games. But I had a winning record that year. We made it all the way to the finals. He made the all-star team. When we lost in game 7 to Belleville. The next year, I got traded to Plymouth, which was kind of close to in Michigan, close to where I'm from. I backed up Rob Zepp. He was an all-star, so I spent 2 years behind all-stars, but I had a winning record each year. I had a goals against under 2 my second year, so we had a great run. Pete DeBoer was our coach that year, and I had such a good year, but I didn't have a whole lot of playing time. But when I got in, I played well. He pulled the deal. And he told me, he says, "Don't get mad. You're going to go on waivers. No one's going to pick you up in the OHL, so don't get offended. But the team in the Quebec League wants you. You're going to go to the queue." And at the time, I was kind of sad because I liked playing for my team. I liked the guys. It was close to home. We had a great year the year before. Justin Williams was on our team. Stephen Weiss, Bernarski, Surma. There's so many guys. Guys I still keep in touch with to this day. But I went to the Quebec League. So my third year, I made the All-Star team. So I was ready to go. Like the whole time I was ready to go. Like I was always on that path. And I played against Fleury that year, and he was a bit younger, but he played for Cape Breton. He never beat me that year. And then from that camp, I went to excuse me, I went to Nashville that year, and then for the training camp the following year, excuse me, and then I came back as an overager, and they drafted Corey Crawford. And he was my backup for about first half of the season. He was young, he was quiet. I think it took him a while to find his groove. I think he had a lot of pressure on him coming out of midgets. Came out of midgets. Maybe I inspired him some. I don't know. I played with a bit of an edge. I like to think I played pretty competitive. He was always kind of quiet, and he didn't really say much. He didn't really. It took him a while, I think, to find his sort of path. So from there, though, that's when I ended up going to the coast in my overage year. But it was great to see Corey, make it. From coming there to he was a kid. I mean, he was 15 at the time. So I don't even think he had a mustache yet. But it was. I love playing in Quebec. I mean, that was in New Brunswick. I mean, I love that part of the country as well. It was so beautiful just to be able to experience that part of the world, and all the travel I did up there as well. I'll never forget it. And it's and now that league, I mean, very, very offensive. All the cliches are true. A lot of shots, and very offensive players, and they ended up winning the Memorial Cup years later. And I haven't been back since. I'd like to go back. I heard they got a new rink, and it's I loved it out there. So.
Yes, that's awesome. Just experience go from 2 years of your goalie partner, your starting goalie being all stars, and then you're the all star your third year, and then you're able to just grow and develop from there throughout those years of junior hockey. And it's like, what was it like learning throughout throughout those years just to get ready for like when you did make that jump to the ECHL after your overage year?
Yeah, I mean, I think I learned from other goalies too. I mean, I to this day, I even say that to kids. I mean, you're going to learn from other goalies, good and bad. You can learn
Yeah.
bad habits. But I know, like, I know Rob Zepp, the way his preparation, the way he prepared for games. I like to think I learned from that. Gene Chirillo, great in the community. He was a great like sort of personality, and he came to play every night. He'd have too many off nights. His consistency was always there. Um, I and just I sort of adapted my style too, because I grew up on the West Coast, and in California, a lot of my coaching was videotapes. Like, I mean, I traveled to some goalie schools and that, but as a kid, I learned a lot through my TV. It sounds crazy, but it's I had Jim Park tapes, and I had Rick Hines tapes, and I had these tapes from guys in Quebec. So I kind of had my own style a little bit, but then I moved to the Midwest, and there was a bit of an American Midwest style that I adapted. And I love Patrick Waugh. To this day, he's my favorite goalie of all time. And I tried to kind of play like him. We were kind of big and competitive, and we kind of played,
Lived on the
kind of,
edge too.
yeah. So I was like him, but then I got to the Quebec League, and all of a sudden there's this style that's going on there that is sort of the standard now. And I learned, so I literally, like, moved across the country in the span of like 5 years, and I kind of adapted my style each time I moved to learn the different styles. And now it's kind of more across the board the same, but at the time, it was when goaltending was really changing from individual goaltending styles to more of the Allaire sort of brother style, where everyone's sort of playing the same, and the pads got a little looser, a little more of the butterfly slides, and the leg recoveries, and people call it a shimmy here, but power leg or whatever you want to call it. But it's um, I'll tell a real quick story. I was back with I was talking about Bandits before, and it's been out there, and Stan, the owner of Bandits, we used to always mess with each other, like, because we were buddies as well. And he had an answer machine in his apartment, and we used to, like, literally call it and say, "Hey, it's Patrick Waugh. I need a lesson. Hey, hey, hey." And one day he got a message, and we were all there, and it was Chris Osgood, and then the message said, "Hey, it's Chris Osgood. I want to message." And we're all like, "Ha ha ha! Who said this to each other?" And we're like, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." Literally, Chris Osgood called our school, because he already won a couple cups with Detroit, but he went to St. Louis and the Islanders, and he was trying to make a comeback play for the Wings. And at the time, we were actually working with Kenny Holland's son, his youngest son, as a goalie. And Kenny Holland referred him to come to our school. So, well, it was Stan's school, but I was the head instructor at the time.
Yeah.
And but at the time, I was coming out of the Quebec League, so my style was very modern. I had the butterfly slides, I had sort of the shimmy or whatever power leg. Everyone calls it different, but I was doing this stuff that you're seeing now, and I like to think that I added a lot of that to the school. So, Chris Oz is obviously older than me, but he literally came and worked with us at the school, and like, did lessons. He'd be out there with, like, young kids and stuff, and we'd be teaching him sort of this new style, like, how you get your he started wearing more modern pads, and, like, he always just kind of kicked at pucks, and he got in the way of the puck, which was
Yeah.
great, but he'd actually make it a solid butterfly. So it was like, and he gave credit to the school and to Stan after they won the cup, and it was a great honor. And like I said, you can inspire people, you can teach people in this game, and you can learn from anyone. So, that's just a fun story, and we tell it all the time, and I'm proud to be part of that as well.
Yeah, that's a cool story. You guys are the reason that Osgood won that cup after his comeback.
I mean, if you look at the styles, though, if you watch him,
Developed his style again.
yeah, he played a whole different style. When he won that cup from years before, his pads were locked to his feet, and he had these huge pads that at his boot, and then he got I think he was wearing Itex at the time, and he got he sort of figured out how to slide around a bit. He wasn't sliding around; he was just kind of like kick saves and stuff,
Yeah.
which is fine. That was the development of the game. I mean, if you look at the era of the '90s and early 2000s, you still had goalies playing completely different styles. You don't see that much anymore. You know, everyone kind of plays the same. If you turn the lights out and there's the shadow, everyone kind of plays the same style. But back then, it was a huge development of personal styles. So
Yeah,
yeah,
just gotta adapt to the different situations and just go from there and dial in your craft.
yeah,
Yeah, but I think that's a great place to wrap this episode up with a great story to end the episode. So, Bill, I want to say thank you again for coming on the show. I appreciate your time and want to wish you the best of luck with your goalie schools. Hopefully, I can get down and maybe like coach for a little bit, like we've been talking about the last couple of years.
yeah, for sure, Doug. Anytime, man. It's great to see you, and best luck to your season as well.